Hi, I'm Mia McNiece with Gold Derby, and I'm here with the creative team behind Disney's Out of My Mind, which tells the inspiring story of a sixth grader with cerebral palsy who is exceptionally intelligent, nonverbal, and faces challenges in being understood, but through resilience and determination, she finds her voice and overcomes many obstacles. Here with me today is Phoebe-Rae Taylor, the actress who plays the main character, Melody Brooks, producer Peter Saraf, director Amber Sealey, and writer Daniel Stiepleman. Thank you all for being here today. I'm very excited to speak with you. My first question, this film is based on Sharon M. Draper's beloved book. I just wanted to know, how familiar were you with the novel before joining the project, and which kind of parts or themes were most important for you to bring to the big screen? Maybe Daniel, we can start with you as the
Sure,
writer.
happy to. I read the book because Peter told me to. He said, you have to read this book. And I did. And in my previous life, before I was a writer, I was a teacher. And I had taught in public schools. And so I have obviously never been Melody, but I had been Mr. Dimming. And sometimes I did that job well, and sometimes I didn't. And so for me, the opportunity to explore that in a deeper way from Melody's point of view was an opportunity I couldn't resist. And so then I went back to Peter and said, you have to let me write this movie. But I know Peter had a longer history with the novel, which he should probably tell rather than me telling the story for him.
Well, I read the book because my daughter told me to read it. And she read it, as many students do in school. Sharon Draper, who wrote the novel, as you said, was a teacher, a very beloved and celebrated teacher for many years, and then she turned to novel writing, and this book comes out of her experience as a teacher, as a mom of a child with cerebral palsy, and she's a wonderful writer. So all of that combines to create this incredible story that we knew should be a great movie. So. That's why I turned to Daniel.
And Phoebe-Rae, were you also familiar with the book before getting the part?
Yeah. When I was about 7 or 8, I read the book in school, and I loved it. I've never seen a character like me before I read the book. And when I saw Melody had cerebral palsy, I was so happy. And I remember I came home that day and I screamed to my parents, "Oh my God, guess what? I found a character like me." So it's crazy to be able to be a part of this experience and this story. It means a lot to me, so yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And Amber, what about you?
I also read it because Peter told me to, but it was perfect timing because as Peter was telling me to read it, my daughter was actually being assigned it in school. And so she and I read it alongside of each other. And then my daughter has dyslexia, and it was the first book that she was able to read cover to cover and finish the whole thing. So it became a very, very special book in our household.
When making the film, what was would you say was one of the biggest creative or emotional challenges you faced, and how did you work through it?
I mean, I look back on the process of making this film as just so fun and so positive, and I honestly can't even remember anything being challenging because it's just been, this film has been the gift that keeps on giving. Like, made amazing friendships from it, learned so much. I mean, I just feel incredibly proud of everything that we all accomplished, and I feel really grateful to have been a part of it. I mean, yeah, I can't think of anything that was really hard. I mean, there's always challenges to filmmaking, but I think that we all were really on the same page. We all had the same mission in terms of making the same film and wanting the set to be completely inclusive. And it's just a wonderful thing when everybody on the filmmaking team is on that same page.
Say working with me,
I think
I'm just relieved.
I mean, except for Daniel, working with Daniel was maybe the hard, but he's here.
to know that.
You know, one of the things that I would say, I mean, this wasn't a challenge, but it was one of the things that we knew we had to do, which was we had to find the right actress to play Melody, and that's where we started with the casting. We started a long time before we made the movie because we knew that we had to find a girl the right age, a girl with CP, and a girl who could act. And so we did a search all over the world. And so many kids sent in tapes, and it was really wonderful to see all these tapes. But Phoebe-Rae was just the absolute perfect person to play the part, and we knew that that we absolutely had to make it with her. So that was one of the first things that wasn't so much a challenge as an opportunity, but a hurdle that we knew we had to get over first.
But as soon as we found her, we were like, it's her. And that was it was an easy decision for everybody. Even Sharon, the book's author, we showed her Phoebe's tape and she said, cast that girl before she gets too old. So everybody was 100% on board with Phoebe getting to play Melody.
Oh, and the other thing that in translating this from a book, in the book, that, Melody is a character who is nonverbal, doesn't speak. And so she expresses herself through an inner monologue, which is something that we're very accustomed to reading, but it's something that was a little bit tricky to translate to film, because what is the voice of a character who has never heard their own voice? And Daniel came up with this great sort of mechanism of, well, Melody maybe would decide to borrow a voice of somebody who she admires. And we were really fortunate that our first choice, which really came directly from Phoebe, and maybe Phoebe, you can talk about it, but our first choice was Jennifer Aniston, and she agreed to be that voice.
Yeah, that goes right into what my next question was bringing her on board, and what did that add to the overall film's emotion and impact of the film?
Do you want to talk about it, Phoebe?
Yeah, okay. So Jennifer Aniston has always been and always will be my favourite actor. Ever since I was little, I watched Friends, hence why my name is just Phoebe. So it's always been a massive part of my life. So getting to her to be on this project has got to be one of the best things that has ever happened to me. To have her know I exist is enough. Because I really am obsessed with her. It's actually sort of quite weird how obsessed I am with her. Yeah.
And also, Phoebe, to follow up on, everyone saying they knew you were the person to play, Melody right away. I mean, as excited as you were to discover the book, what was it like to get the call that you were getting this role?
I mean, even now, I have no words for it, because I've never acted. I've never seen myself acting ever. So this has been the most unreal 3 years of my life, and the best 3 years of my life. I've learned so much, and I was so awkward before, and now I've got a confidence, and that I'm really grateful for.
That's amazing. I love the line in the film where, Luke Kirby, who plays Melody's father, says, if Melody meets your expectations, why don't you raise your expectations? In making this film, what kind of surprised you or went beyond your own expectations?
I had no idea what to expect. No idea. I was so nervous, terrified. But as soon as I met all of these people in front of you, all of that went away, because they're such genuine, lovely, comforting people. And the whole set was so accessible and welcoming, and that made this experience a lot better and easier. I'm really grateful for these people.
That's so great. And Amber, what about you? What kind of went beyond your expectations while making this film?
Oh, wow. I mean, well, Phoebe really blew me away. Just every minute with her courage and bravery and willingness to try new things. I mean, as she said, she'd never done it before. So the whole just being on set was new to her, being an actor, having to be incredibly vulnerable. And she just blew me away how willing she was to really go there. I think just for me, what was also such a joy was getting to work with Daniel and the creative process that he and I had. I think we both could really draw on our experiences as parents, and that was really, obviously, I mean, every writer has their own style, but I think in particular for me, the experience with Daniel exceeded my expectations because it was just such a wonderful collaboration. And Daniel, you're just the best. But I think as well, and not to compliment everyone on this Zoom, but Peter as well. I mean, Peter's dedication to making the set, everything, obviously directors have a certain amount of say, but everything really starts with the producer in terms of, what the situation is going to be like on set, because they get to say, it basically where a lot of the money goes. And Peter was incredibly dedicated to making the set accessible for everybody, not just for Phoebe, but for everybody in the cast and the crew. And that created an environment of joy and comfort and safety for all of us. So I think, as I started off saying earlier, that the experience was just one of incredible thoughtfulness and generosity from everybody, that was there. And I think another thing that's exceeded my expectations is just the reaction. I'm quite a pessimistic person, so I'm like, oh, everyone's going to hate everything, but almost daily I get messages from kids on Instagram who have cerebral palsy or are disabled in a different way, and they send a message saying, thank you for making this movie. It touched me. That's me up there. And I feel so just grateful and blessed to be a part of something that is so meaningful to a large percentage of, our population that doesn't often get to see themselves represented up on screen. So the reaction to the film has really totally blown away any expectations I had for it.
I just want to add, I was so nervous when I started writing this movie, interacting with members of the CP community and saying, I'm writing this movie, can you help? And what really exceeded my expectations and was amazing was the degree to which the CP community and the disability community more broadly just opened up their arms and said, like, this is so important. We have to get this right. Let's go. Let's do it together. And it became this sort of wonderful collaborative process of people just shadowing kids and going to schools and talking with paraprofessionals and riding the bus and going to doctor's appointments and into people's homes and volunteering at camps and just sort of enmeshing into that world and being welcomed in and helped and turning it into a collaboration that went on from the writing process through the entire filmmaking process was really incredible. And I don't know how to say thank you enough to enough people. So I'm just saying it. I'm hinging it into every conversation I have now to make sure that people know like this doesn't happen as well as it did without this support and the collaboration of so many people who don't get to be on these panels with us, which is too bad.
And Peter, what about you? What kind of exceeded your expectations with the project?
Well, in a lot of ways, we in making this film, and it was many years of developing it and getting it into production, and then the process of making it. And I think for me, I know I went through an experience similar to many of the people in the story, which was I learned that when I have a little patience and I make a little effort to listen to people who communicate a little differently from me, to make room for people who move a little differently than me, and to just open up my expectations of people, that I will be enriched by getting to know really extraordinary people. And that is what we hope people take away from this film. But it's a journey that I know I went through in the process of getting to know this story and working on this story.
There are so many different messages on family and, so many different things that you hit upon in this film. What was kind of your biggest hope that audiences take away when when you made the film?
I think one of our favorite lines in the movie is assume competence. When presume competence when Dr. Ray says that to Mr. Dimming, and I think that's what, if you're going to boil it down to a nutshell, I think that's what I hope people take away from this. Presume competence in everybody and presume possibility from everybody.
One thing I want people to take away from this is that people with disabilities, adults, kids, we're just people. Like, at the end of the day, we may look different or sound different, but don't judge us by that. And I think we have so much to give the world, and no one really sees that. And I think that they should, because why should I be judged just by it? Because I have to sit down, or it may take me a little while to say my words. So I think that should be one thing people take away, is don't be so quick to judge.
I have a different favorite line. My favorite line is when Mrs. V says, just because someone wipes your ass doesn't mean you have to kiss theirs. And I think the reason that is that for me, the movie at its heart is really just about a young girl learning not to wait for the grown-ups to solve her problems for her. And learning that, like, I think it's a lesson. I think that lesson is universal, is like we all at some point have to learn that if we want to, make our lives better, we just need to go do it, rather than counting on other people to do it for us. And for me, I hope that's the big walk away from this movie.
I'm going to add one more line that I love both of those lines. And I think what Phoebe said is just chef's kiss. But I also love at the end when she says, I'm not going anywhere. Because for me, that's, almost 30% of the United States identifies as having a disability. It's a disability that anyone can become a member of at any point in their life. And disability is not something that needs to be fixed or repaired. It's not going to go away. It's always going to be here. And so I love that in the end of the movie when she says, look, this is who I am, accept it. I'm not going anywhere. And I have something to say. I think that's just a really beautiful message.
Definitely. And, besides all of the good it's putting out and the feedback you're getting, the film's also been getting awards and acclaim. Peter, can you talk a little bit about, what you guys have received so far and what that means to, I'd like to hear it from each of you, what it means individually to you, but also what it means for the project.
So we were nominated for Best Picture at the Critics' Choice Awards, and Phoebe was nominated for Best Actress in a field of some pretty luminary people with longer resumes than her, but she deserved to be right up there. We were nominated for a WGA award. We were nominated for a DGA award, which Amber won, very deservedly so. We are, in a couple of weeks, we are going to accept the TV Academy Honors Award, which is a really special one for us. And the Peabody Award, which is another extraordinarily special one. And, these are all great ego boosts and it's great to be recognized. But there's also the thing of, as Amber was saying, not enough of these stories are told. Not enough characters with disabilities are portrayed on screen. Not enough storytellers with disabilities have a chance to tell their stories. And so when you get this kind of recognition, you hope that it opens the door for more stories like this.
Yeah. And Phoebe-Rae, what was it like to get, the nomination for you and to get the attention like that?
It's absolutely insane. That's the only way I can really put it, because I don't have some words. And to be able to be up against all of these amazing actors, I mean, it's bad, because I actually said to my dad, I was like, are you sure I'm not accidentally put up there. Look at them, like, how can I be with these actresses? Like, are you sure they didn't make a mistake on that? Because I just can't believe it. Even now, I'm like, what? Like, I never thought I'd see myself here ever, but I'm here and so glad I am, because be able to, like Peter said, it means to be able to see how much this film and story has touched people's lives, like it did mine back when I was 8. And to be able to share this story isn't enough. Don't get me wrong, the awards are great, all of that, yeah. But being able to tell this story is enough for me, and that, yeah.
I think Phoebe sometimes underestimates her own talent and her own hard work. And, there were a few times on set where she was really scared and anxious. And the way that she pushed through and did the scenes and did the, what I was asking her to do was real bravery. And she really deserves to be up there. I mean, I have admired all of those actresses, that she was alongside for the Critics' Choice and also for the Gotham Awards, for years and years. And I can't make it any clearer, but by saying Phoebe belongs to be up there with those women, because she was just so hardworking and was so present every minute of every day and so willing to do everything that was asked of her in such a humble way that I think she underestimates the amount of work that she put into it. But it was really something to witness when we were there on set.
There's actually no way I'll be able to do half those things if it weren't for Amber. And I can say that Amber made sure I was comfortable. And even though sometimes she had to make me come out my comfort zone, that's where I could do my best in acting. I'm really grateful for Amber.
And Daniel, what does the awards mean, to you personally, and then for the project itself?
A picture came up of my daughter the other day wearing a little onesie that Peter sent, when she was born, that said "Out of My Mind" on it. And she's in second grade now, so this movie was a long process for me. And it's such a leap of faith when you start writing a movie that it's ever going to get made, that anyone's going to see it, that when it gets seen, it's going to have an impact on people. And so, yeah, it's nice. It's nice to be recognized in awards. But for me, what means so much is, you write something, you put your heart into it, you really hope you're saying something that you believe in, which in this case is, look at people for their potential, not for what you assume in their limitations. And so for me, what the awards really mean for me is like, you hope that every nomination, every win is just helping spread that message, making more people aware that the film is out there, and more people are watching it, the more people are experiencing it in the ways that it seems like the audience is responding to it, and that it can continue to have an impact on the world. That for me is what really means the most.
And this is clearly a story that, required a deep collaboration across the writing and the directing and the producing and the acting. How did working together kind of influence the way the film ultimately took shape?
I can say I'm a better writer because Amber was reading my scripts. I'm a pretty good writer already. Amber, some in ways that I didn't see until I started working with Amber. There were characters who were just sort of throwaway characters who were there to deliver a line and move on. And Amber could see those people and flesh out an entire life for them, and then help me express that on the page, and still in just a couple lines. The example I love is Rose's mom laying down the cardboard on the carpet because of Melody's, the wheels from Melody's wheelchair. Like those little moments, that's pure Amber Sealey. And now every time I'm running a character, I'm like, how would Amber do this? So I'm better because of Amber. So thanks, Amber.
I feel the same about you.
And Amber, what about you? What was, how did the kind of collaboration across all of these things help create the film?
Gosh, I'm blushing from what Daniel said. So I again, I think this is one of those experiences where we were just really all making the same film. I think that, obviously there's always little differences of opinion, or, you have little squabbles and whatnot, but I think all of us knew the tone, the genre, we knew very well what story we were telling. We were all on the same page. And so I just think that, there were many times when particularly Peter, Daniel, and I would get together and work on a specific element of the story, or all the way through now what we're going through and talking about, awards and all of that. And I think that we are all just very aligned. I think that we have the same North Star, which is exactly what Daniel was saying about what people, receive when they watch the movie, and how we hope it changes their lives, and how we hope it brings more presuming of competence in the world with anybody. And I think that North Star just shone very brightly for all of us. And I don't know. I just think we were creatively aligned, and we wanted to make the same kind of film throughout.
Yeah. And Peter, for you, what was the collaboration like?
Well, I would echo a lot of what Daniel and Amber said. There is a mutual admiration society here, but I also, I want to add to that and say, one of the greatest things about making movies, television, is the number of people that you get to collaborate. It's always a big team, and every project brings you into interactions with new kinds of people, and this one was especially true in that regard, because from the very beginning we were working with nonverbal people. We were working with technology experts who'd worked in the field of assistive communication devices. We were working with accessibility coordinators. I've never had an accessibility coordinator on a movie. We knew we needed one on this movie. We needed a whole team, and it was really surprising what came out of having that presence and process throughout the making of the movie. So the team was the usual suspects, and it was expanded by a lot of really wonderful, extraordinary people who taught us a lot.
I feel like I want to make sure Peter gets credit for the fact that there, in my experience, a lot of producers who will work to get a movie made, the movie that they can get made. And Peter's one of the few who really fights to get the right movie made. That he knew why we were making the movie, and he was going to make sure that was the movie that got made. And I think that, first of all, is why the movie is so good, and it's why you end up with a collaboration like this, where we were all on the same page. And that's pretty rare because it's harder. But I think the payoff is obvious.
I'm stubborn. If again, like Daniel measured time using his daughter's age. I'll tell you, when my daughter told me about the book, she was in the 4th grade. The day after we wrapped photography on this film, I dropped her off for her first day in college. It is, but I am stubborn, and thank you, Amber and Daniel, for saying that. I would say the same to you, and I think that one of the things that was great about all of us working together, and I think we always look for collaborators like this, and I would include Phoebe in this as well, is we all know that you only get one chance to tell this. Movies and TV shows are permanent, and so if you only get the one shot, let's do the best version that we possibly can.
Definitely. And Phoebe-Rae, what was it like for you to join the team and, work with so many different people?
Well, my whole life I've been judged by people. I've not had the best experience. But coming onto the film set, it sounds cringy, it sounds cheesy, but it was like a breath of fresh air. But like I said earlier, the people I got to work with are generally the loveliest people I have ever met in my life, and it made such a difference that I'm not used to nice people. But I think the film wouldn't be as good as it is if we all didn't work together, and we were all so close. And I'm quite lucky I got to experience that on my first ever film set. Yeah.
And, with Emmy voting about to start, and as we're talking about kind of the teamwork, is there someone you'd love to give a shout out to? One of the other actors, a craftsperson, casting, someone who you think, gets a gold star for the work that they did on the film?
Well, I want to give a shout out to the True Frost family and the Ellenson family and Lawrence Carter Long. Those families were part of our crew, and they just opened their lives to us and let us know what living with CP was like for them personally. And
sorry.
And the Madden and Owen. Yes, exactly. I'm sure that we had so many. I mean, it's so hard to single out a few people. But I text with the Ellensons and the True Frosts and Lawrence and Kim sometimes too. We're more Facebook friends, but I'm still in touch with those people, and the way that they opened their lives up to us and shared, just little details like Cora walking me around her house and saying, and this is where Leo's wheelchair always hits the wall and it's scratched up and marked. And we put that stuff in the film, all of those little elements of their lives that they gave to us and entrusted with us to implant those gems into the story. And it's those gems that make the story ring true and be authentic and really, be full of life. And so I will be forever grateful to them for doing that and just for their friendship in general.
Well, since you're talking about people who are potential Emmy nominees, obviously Phoebe and her performance is the sort of heart and soul of this performance, but Luke Kirby as Chuck was just phenomenal. And I think I'm a good writer, and I think Luke made me look like a much better writer. So I want to give that shout out.
Even though this person may not be a part of this film, I want to shout out sorry, how do you say again? Even though this person might not be a part of this film, I'd like to shout out my auntie Lisa, who never got to watch this film, but she was there during the making of it, and she was really excited for me. I spoke to her a lot, and she never got to make it to watch it, and yeah, I just want to shout her out because I love her lots.
The producing department had a few people involved, and I want to acknowledge a couple of them who aren't here today. I'm representing for the producing team, but Dan Angel, who was with this book even longer than me, and Robert Kessel, who was a great producing partner on this project. And I also, a special shout out to our casting directors. Paul Schnee is the one who led the effort to find Phoebe, and who, in going through all the tapes, really helped us whittle it down and kept saying, this is the one, this is the one. And John Buchan up in Toronto, where we filmed this, who did the local casting, and he and his team really went out of their way to find all the kids in the classrooms, and a lot of the other wonderful cast. But we could go on and on with all the collaborators, but those are some people who really stand out.
That's great. And I know we're getting close to our time, so I just wanted to turn it over to you guys to see if there was anything that you wanted to say or get across about the film, or any, aspect of it that I didn't ask you.
I'll say something. There's something that I'm proud of, and I guess I want to thank Disney for, which is that I'm very proud of the fact that this movie does not end with everybody, learning a heartwarming lesson about acceptance, that it's really about Melody learning a more nuanced and complicated lesson than that, about resilience. And I admit, I was worried when Disney came on that they were going to say this needs to be more of a fairy tale, and everyone's going to end going, oh yes, now we all learn how to be better people. And so thank you to Disney for not making me change the ending of the movie.
Yeah, I think we really do have to give a big shout out to Disney and the support they gave this film, and to say, yeah, these are characters, and this is a story that belongs on Disney. And when you're making a movie that you hope that families will watch together, there's no greater platform, there's no greater brand to have than Disney. So to get that kind of support and encouragement and acceptance from that team has been really special.
This is a funny thing to say, but I do really think that of all the films I've made, this is one that I think everybody should watch, even if it's not your genre, that you normally like. I think that I do think watching the film and taking home the lessons in it will make the world a better place. And it sounds quite cocky of me saying that as the director, but I divorce myself from it. And I just think that whoever, could have written or directed or produced this movie or even acted in it, I just think it's an important life lesson. I think, going back to what Peter said about learning to take the time to listen and pause and allow space for people whose bodies and voices work and move differently from how your own does. I just think, to me, that's been a really beautiful gift. And I think the more we all learn to pause and listen and allow space, the better off we'll all be.
Well, this has been lovely. Thank you for joining me today. Congratulations on all the success with the film, and good luck with the Emmys coming up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.